Hello everyone, I'm Generic Waffle. Welcome back to Escape the Ayuwoki. Not only is this the backstory episode, but I've been getting some comments that y'all wanted to hear our opinion on it, and our, meaning myself and my partner. Yes, I wrangled them into this. Here we go, I guess.
All right. After giving it a lot of thinking, I decided to step out of the cult. It's insane. They want to feed the entity with children's fears. And even the very children, I can't stand it for this. They are everything I have. Only with them I feel as unequal. As a brother, not like in the cult where I feel used. They are just telling me promises at a cost that would mean everything to me. I'm done. I will try to record one of the sessions to expose them.
Okay, so obviously it's happened by now, right? That's a true statement.
Yeah, like the bad things.
The
TM.
summon TM. So I think that voice is, even though it's unnamed, I think we're all pretty sure who that is.
Yeah, Mr. Jackson.
No. Oh no.
Does that like give us a nice little copyright? Am I allowed to say Mr. Jackson?
Miguel Jackson.
It's pronounced Michelle. Mikhail
Right.
Machiavelli.
Machiavelli Jackson. That's the canon. That's his now canon name. So he is now thinking, oh shit, we did the thing, and fuck that noise.
So he's in a cult, and they are feeding some fans, children, to something.
Yeah, and I think that it's the entity, which was probably the summoned entity, which we learn about from the tablet from the other episode, which we'll actually talk about in this one. We learn about that, and so I guess they did the thing that they were trying to accomplish, but at what cost, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Moving on. Cool.
Oh no. After what Mr. Carlson said, I feel so bad. Now everything makes sense. That's why they reached me in the first place. My children. My beloved children. I wouldn't be able to hurt any of you. You are my friends. My little brothers.
Oh, that's right. The game crashed between then and now.
So obviously, this is his motivation for wanting to leave.
Right, exactly. And so it sort of is weird to me because of the fact that if that is, in fact, if they're the same person...
The Ayuwoki and...
Yeah, right.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jacksonberg.
I was always under the assumption that they were the same person for, the entirety of your playthrough.
I thought they were two different people. Well, no, I thought what happened was... We'll get to that in a few minutes. Gotta love that. Gotta love that voice acting. Gotta love that Pat did Mr. Crow, Deadly Crow's voice acting, am I right? Gasp! Okay, so obviously that's starting to tie together the two tapes that we just listened to.
Yeah, so the entity...
The entity, which I'm assuming is just the Ayuwoki.
Elder.
Let's just... What?
Well, so it says that the elder requires...
Well, the elder needs to offer the child
to the entity.
Yeah, which is what I'm guessing is the Ayuwoki.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Because if I'm under the impression that Michael Jackson becomes the Ayuwoki...
Well, yeah, if he becomes the Ayuwoki,
then there's a separate something that is giving the eternal youth.
Well, yeah.
That requires
and I think that has to do with the tablet.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the power of the tablet does that. But my question is that I thought they were
Well, why would the Ayuwoki specifically take on a personage of
Mr.
Jackson?
Jacksonberg himself?
Yeah.
That's a good point. I don't know.
Okay, continuing.
Yeah.
As I told you before, I'm really worried. I think I'm stepping down with the cold.
What? Don't you get
It took
it?
me so
No one can
fucking
get this.
long
Once
to
you're
record
in, you're
this
in. You can't get out.
particular
At least,
part.
Not alive and well.
That's a risk I have to face. I'd rather die for the ones I love than killing all of them.
Well, if I can't convince you, at least be careful. I think they already know what you're up to. They may do something about it, so you must act quickly before they manage to get away with the plans. I won't tell anyone what you're trying to do, but please, I beg you, as a friend, give it another thought. Think about everything we're achieving and earning with this, and everything we're losing if you expose us.
Gotta love that good old-fashioned peer pressure. But again, so that's a
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to say about this one.
well, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, it was done in the name of it's almost Frankensteinian. It's almost
Kind of sort
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Like, oh, we can do this thing, but should we?
do it.
Yeah, but we can do this thing in the name of science, but really, should we? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a very interesting sort of spin on it that I didn't actually consider until just now. Mm-hmm. Moving on.
So, you were saying without an equal substitution, my eternal youth wouldn't be sustained.
What I'm saying is that sacrifices must be made. But it's not just a single sacrifice. It would have to be a regular event. I know you're not really taking this whole thing seriously, are you? You don't think your eternal life is worth the lives of others?
What I'm saying is I'd do whatever it takes to stay this way.
Okay,
So that one, I feel like that one is like the first recording when they first like brought him onto this project.
I feel like it's definitely further towards the front. But I also think that if they are the same person, then the fact that the Ayuwoki does not currently have the eternal beauty that he allegedly should.
Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jacksonberg doesn't currently have the eternal beauty that he's just trying to
Assuming that they're the same.
Assuming that they're the same. That would imply that of his own accord, Mr. Jackson realized the downhill that would occur and then
went
locked
for it
himself
anyway.
away in this mansion, which is honestly sort of honorable. And I've been thinking about this sort of gray area the whole time.
Yeah, this seems like one of the earlier recordings, like when they first brought him on to the project as someone who was like interested in eternal youth. And they're like, okay, well, you know, here's the price you got to pay for that.
Then he goes, oh, yeah, that seems like a good idea. And then he really starts thinking about it, and that's the tapes that we heard in that one room.
Previously, yeah.
And he's like,
wait a
oh,
second.
you know what? On second thought, what if we didn't do this? And that's why he's tempted to step out of it, because of the fact that he steps out of it and is like, hey, I don't want anything to do with it. Locks himself in this
Because
mansion.
He knows that what he'll become
Loses
after losing the ability.
loses his shit completely.
Yeah, eternal youth.
And that's what gets us, because then now it's almost like the virus in Dead Rising, because the zombie thing is treated as a virus, and you can actually, like, a medical virus, and there are vaccines that you can actually take.
And if you quarantine.
Well, that, but also there are vaccines that you can buy, find, and take. And so if you take them, then you get to stave it off for even longer. So I'm almost under the impression that, oh, that's sort of the mechanic that's going on here, until he quarantines himself, loses his shit, and then it's not him anymore. At which point it is the Ayuwoki, and then the Ayuwoki starts kidnapping
I think they have to like complete the ritual at least once for him to like to like pair up TM. Because obviously, like, if you haven't like made a connection with this bestower of the youth, nothing's gonna happen to you if you're like, nah, I'm gonna pass.
Oh, hey, look, a tablet. Should we?
Nah.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Really did it. Who would have guessed this mumbo jumbo magic tablet was real?
Mumbo
Though it
jumbo.
appears to be behaving strangely. Carlin has asked that I study everything I can about this tablet and act as if nothing strange is happening here.
So I think my previous stated theory is correct, that they did it at least once.
Well, yeah, they had to have, because now
it's locked in.
The second recording of in the room with the gold door, which was, oh, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him feeling guilty and then really being
Realizing that he doesn't want to do that.
fuck this noise.
Yeah.
But then also, so this recording says Mr. Carlin, And then every other person except for Miguel Yaxenberg himself says Mr. Carlin, except Miguel Yaxenberg himself, who says Mr. Carlton, which is really funny to me.
Anyway.
Oh, this recording is so long, I forgot.
First argument is mad ramblings, at least the science he has behind it anyway. Speaks of maternal youth, not just beauty on the outside, but hostile internal organs decaying. Even dragged a new guy into this whole thing, but even they know that type of power can't be found within the stable realms of reality. Can it?
Well, for what I've seen, reality, and in fact all of them are shapeless. But there are forces that we don't understand, which can shape their reality at will.
I see. After all, as a man of knowledge, I prefer to stick to what I can see with my very own eyes.
Oh dear, that's the thing. What you are seeing is what you shouldn't trust the most. We are here to experience exactly what's behind of what we can see as reality.
The tablet.
Okay, so a couple of things. One, you can hear her flip the script page in that recording.
Oof.
But go on. Two, I can't see cells or molecules, yet I know they exist. So.
Well, you personally haven't. Well, I'm sure you did in like middle school. You do like a cheek swab. You put that.
No, we never did that.
Microscope. You never did.
No,
that?
I never did that.
I did that.
So that's basically him going, oh,
This tablet has a weird vibe.
this tablet's looking at me funny, and that's her going, probably, yeah.
I think it's having more of an impact on me than anything else. I know this sounds crazy, but I feel as though it's speaking to me. Not directly, but foreign thoughts have entered my mind. Things I couldn't possibly ever come up with myself, and things I would never want to do.
Okay, so I think that's the end of that recording.
Really?
Yeah, it's really short. Hang on, let's double check. Yeah, okay, that's the end of the recording. So
I don't know where this one takes place, but
I think
if
it
it's
takes place towards the end.
after
I'd argue that it takes place towards the end because
a sacrifice.
after the sacrifice has already been made. So my thought is that number one, they find this tablet.
Yeah.
They go to Egypt and find this tablet. You can tell it's Egypt because of the writing on the pyramid head.
Okay.
Okay, they find this tablet. Number two, they're like, oh, let's try to figure out what the hell this tablet's, what's its whole deal, man? Like, oh, eternal youth versus children. They call on...
Obviously, we're going to go for eternal youth.
They call on, for science. They call on Mr. Miguel Yaxenberg himself.
Sure.
They're like, okay, we're going to have you be the test dummy.
Mm-hmm. And he's like,
okay. Okay, yeah, for sure.
But then they do the thing,
But
and he's
then-
like, wait a minute.
But then they're like, yeah,
No.
I'm gonna beat it. So now my thoughts are, he's like, fuck that noise.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I know. So he's like, fuck that noise. Locks himself in this mansion.
Well, I would say before that happens, as he like steps down.
No, yeah, he steps down and locks himself in the thing, and then the tablet wants to find another host. So then he is not getting the children. So then Yaxenberg becomes the Ayuwoki.
Yeah.
And then that guy, not Mr. Carlin, but the guy who's decoding the tablet,
Spending a lot of time around this thing, and now I'm starting to have some thoughts.
starting to have some
Thoughts.
thoughts. Where can we find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Sleeping Bird Studio, all one word.
If you want more Ayuwoki videos, that's a playlist of every Ayuwoki video I've ever done, and that is a video that YouTube wants you to watch. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Tell your friends, tell your pets, and as always with love, I got you. Generic Waffle and Sleeping Bird Studio.